This year, as a top-tier teacher, I was proud to see two of my students admitted to Tsinghua and Peking University, and the entire class passed the 211 benchmark. The principal held a special commendation ceremony for me, hoping I could share my experience with parents and teachers. Under the spotlight, I stood at the center of the school podium, eloquently sharing my educational insights.
In today's society, not getting into college is almost like being out of touch.
The audience burst into laughter, followed by enthusiastic applause. The next moment, however, a woman dressed in black stood up and questioned me.
What if you're a child from the mountains? What if you're a left-behind child?
I thought to myself, is she here to cause trouble? I frowned slightly but patiently explained.
Ma'am, I myself came from a rural background. With the internet being so advanced now, learning resources are everywhere. In theory, as long as one is diligent, getting into college should be much easier than it was in my time.
The woman was not convinced. She glared at me angrily.
So, you still stand by your opinion?
Yes.
The woman sneered coldly. Suddenly, I felt my body go weak, and the world spun around me. Before losing consciousness, a cold mechanical voice echoed in my mind.
System detected the 928,116,973rd challenger. Hostname, Raymond. Identity, senior teacher, top-tier class advisor. Mission, inhabit the body of a mountain boy named Liam and help him get into college. Mission failure results in termination.
I opened my eyes and found myself not in the auditorium, nor in a hospital, but in a dilapidated small mud house. I sat up abruptly, with hair like dry straw hanging in front of my eyes. I stretched out my hand to look at it, dark, thin, with dirt under the nails.
This was definitely not my original body. The voice in my head was real. What kind of situation is this?
I sighed, and memories belonging to Liam flooded uncontrollably into my mind. William's village was the poorest village in the entire mountainous area, and Liam's family was the poorest in this poor village. Liam's mother was mentally unstable, his grandmother was bedridden, and his father had lost a hand working in a dangerous job years ago and could now only do simple farm work at home. The family relied on the yield from 2 acres of land and an old sow in the yard to survive.
Most of Liam's memories were related to household chores, washing clothes, cooking, cutting pig grass, feeding pigs, but lacked the knowledge that should be in the mind of someone his age. Yes, Liam had only attended 3 years of elementary school before dropping out to help at home. Now at 14, he should be in middle school, but he was wasting his years at home.
I sighed again. As a teacher, I had only one feeling about Liam's experience.
Pity for his misfortune, anger for his lack of effort. Liam, don't you know that studying is your only way out of the mountains? No matter what, now that I have become Liam, our fates are intertwined. If he doesn't get into college, I'm done for too. So the most urgent task is to go back to school.
Without delay, I immediately got off the Kong bed and went to the yard to find the head of the household, my father, David.
Ovid was sitting on the steps at the entrance, smoking a pipe.
Raymond carefully avoided the scattered chicken droppings in the yard and rushed to him.
Father, I want to go to school.
What did you say?
I want to go to school. I want to go to college.
Where's the money for you to go to school? Get lost!
Seeing David's attitude, Raymond's anger flared up instantly.
A child wanting to go to school is a good thing, isn't it? Shouldn't parents be happy about it? How come with you, a child wanting to go to school gets told to get lost? What kind of logic is that?
Raymond's class advisor instincts kicked in, and he raised his voice.
Dear parent, how can you talk like that? You should.
He didn't get to finish his sentence before he was interrupted. Literally interrupted. David slapped him across the face, and it stung like fire. It had rained earlier this morning, and Raymond fell into the yard, getting mud and chicken droppings all over him.
Why did you hit me?
I'm your father. Why can't I hit you? Forget about school. It's good enough that I give you food to eat. Now go cut some pigweed.
Lying on the ground, Raymond's body trembled uncontrollably. Liam's fear mixed with his, rendering him immobile. It was only at this moment that he truly understood his situation. He was no longer the gold medal class advisor standing at the podium. His words were no longer golden advice to parents eager for their children to succeed. He was Liam, a malnourished, underage boy who had to do farm work every day. Going to school seemed far more challenging than he had imagined. David picked up a straw sandal, ready to hit him again. Raymond endured the pain and fled as fast as he could. My face stung painfully, and even after an entire afternoon, it was still swollen. Feeding the chickens, feeding the pigs, chopping wood, fetching water, cleaning the yard, and by sunset, I still had to make dinner. Potato stew with cabbage and cornmeal porridge. It's not that I didn't want to make something better, but the Williams family had nothing else. Even the best cook can't make a meal without ingredients.
Burping contentedly, that was good. I'm going out for a smoke.
David wolfed down his food, and within minutes, the few dishes on the table were gone. Only some soup was left on the table. Looking at the moldy chopsticks and the chipped bowl, I had no appetite. I sighed and prepared to take some food to my mother. In Liam's memories, his mother was once the person who treated him the best. But when he was 6, she lost her sanity. His father, embarrassed by her, locked her in the abandoned cowshed to the west. Since then, apart from bringing her food, Liam rarely saw his mother. Reading through Liam's memories, I had a vague feeling that there was something odd about his mother, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Opening the door to the cowshed, the smell of manure hit me. In the corner of the room crouched a disheveled woman, his mother.
Mom, it's time to eat.
The woman rushed over at an alarming speed, kicking the bowl over and grabbing the food off the ground to stuff into her mouth. It seemed she really had lost her mind. I sighed again, not knowing how many times I had sighed today. Despite her filthy appearance, one could still see traces of her former beauty. Being near her, I felt a long-lost warmth, perhaps influenced by Liam's consciousness.
Mom, I want to go to school.
The woman paused, then suddenly burst into hysterical laughter, spitting out the food in her mouth all over the floor.
School is good. School is good.
Yes, school is indeed good.
Thinking about David's attitude, I started to worry again. Raymond had been in Liam's body for several days now. These past few days, he had been trying to persuade David to let him go to school. Each time, the response was a firm no. It was already October, long past the registration deadline. Raymond was anxious, and 2 cold sores had appeared at the corners of his mouth. In summer, the sun rises early. As soon as it came up, he started cleaning the yard in the morning light. David was feeding the family's only old sow. Suddenly, someone walked in from the gate. Raymond recognized her, Aunt Zoe, their neighbor.
Same people, different fates.
She chatted with David for a bit and then glanced at Raymond sweeping the yard, suddenly sighing.
Your kid is still sweeping the yard, while old Jack's kid at the end of the village is already earning eggs for the family.
Eggs? How?
You wouldn't believe it. I heard that Lily scored among the top in her exams at school, and the school rewarded her with 2 pounds of eggs. Old Jack has been showing off all over the village. I heard the first place gets 5 pounds.
Hearing this, Raymond knew his chance to go to school had come.
Father, let me go to school. I can earn eggs for you. 5 pounds.
That afternoon, David took him to the school. There was only one middle school for several nearby villages, and it was a good 5 miles from William's village. Raymond's feet were sore by the time they reached the school gate. He was stunned by what he saw. Could this even be called a school? A few dilapidated brick buildings served as classrooms, with a large dirt field in front of them. No laboratories, no gymnasium, no rubber track. The only thing that looked new was the red flag fluttering on the flagpole.
It's already past the registration deadline. Technically, I shouldn't enroll you.
Technically shouldn't enroll, meaning she still could. Raymond had to get into this school.
Teacher, you can give me a test. If my scores meet the standard, will you enroll me?
The principal smiled, her eyes full of disbelief. After all, Liam didn't look like a good student. She was probably mocking him in her heart for overestimating himself. She pulled a test paper from her drawer and handed it to him.
This is this year's high school entrance exam paper. It's very difficult.
Raymond glanced at it. It was all basic questions. He could score full marks with his eyes closed. He took the pen the principal handed him and started answering quickly. As she watched him write, her expression grew more serious.
Stop, you don't need to write anymore.
Narrator, tone, excited. The principal looked at David excitedly.
Your child is a genius.
Narrator, tone, relieved. Hearing this, I let out a sigh of relief, putting down my pen, my palms sweaty.
A genius?
A genius! On this test, he can score at least 70 points.
Narrator, tone, serious. This was the result of me holding back. The principal eagerly expressed her intention to enroll me, but David was not satisfied.
If you say my child is a genius and you want to enroll him, there must be a price. At least give me 5 pounds of eggs.
Narrator, tone, surprised. The principal, thinking the price would be something outrageous, was surprised to hear it was just 5 pounds of eggs. She immediately threw down $20 and told him to buy them himself at the market.
Took the money but didn't seem very happy. I felt that his gaze towards me was somewhat malicious. But he eventually left.
Narrator, tone, serious. Although students from several nearby villages attended this school, there weren't many students overall. Each grade had only 2 classes, a fast class and a slow class. Naturally, I was placed in the fast class. There were about 30 or 40 students in the class.
This is Liam, a good student.
Narrator, tone, cheerful. This immediately caused an uproar of laughter.
My mother said that a skinny monkey only has small smarts, no big wisdom, and can't possibly be a good student.
Exactly, exactly. No matter how good he is, can he be better than Charlie?
Narrator, tone, serious. A short boy with glasses glanced at me and let out a heavy humph. Being an adult, I couldn't be bothered with these childish antics and casually found an empty seat. But I still felt a bit uncomfortable inside.
What's wrong with being small? Why should I be looked down upon? If they were my students, I would definitely make them stand at the back of the classroom as punishment.
Narrator, tone, serious. The principal, who was also the teacher, started the lesson. I listened for a while and couldn't help but shake my head. From a fellow teacher's perspective, the lesson was poorly delivered. The girl sitting next to me, a skinny, dark-skinned girl, saw my reaction and thought I didn't understand.
I can help you after class.
Narrator, tone, friendly. I recognized her. She was Lily, the girl who helped her family earn eggs a few days ago.
Thank you.
Narrator, tone, serious. I focused on the lesson. Although the teaching was poor, it wasn't unlistenable. After entering college, I had focused on my major, and some knowledge from other subjects had faded. I needed to rearm myself with knowledge.
Come on, Liam. Get into college and then go home.
I walked back and forth on the mountain roads to school, and when I got home, I had to do chores. Only late at night could I lie down and rest. The only feeling I had was exhaustion. However, this was the daily life of every child in Williams Village.
The students I taught, including myself during my student days, had only one task every day: studying. Such a stark contrast made me realize that my previous thoughts were somewhat oversimplified. In such an environment, getting into college was indeed not easy.
In the first monthly exam after enrolling, I successfully defeated the perennial top student, Charlie, and took first place. Those classmates who used to mock me were furious, especially Charlie, whose face turned as dark as spilled ink.
I deliberately carried a big bag of eggs and walked around them several times, successfully hearing the sound of someone swallowing. Having studied for 2 lifetimes, if I still couldn't beat them, I would have lived in vain. You kids are still too inexperienced to compete with me.
I carried a full 5 pounds of pork home, and David's face softened considerably when he saw it.
Liam, you got first place. Go tell your mother and make her happy.
I cheerfully carried the dishes and pushed open the door to the cowshed. The golden fried eggs with red peppers looked mouth-watering. In the corner, Sarah was even more emaciated than before. As usual, I placed the food on the ground, and she quickly crawled over. This time, she didn't kick over the bowl. I watched her use her dirty hands to grab the food and stuff it into her mouth, and I couldn't help but tear up.
Mom, I went to school and got first place. The eggs are my reward for you.
For a moment, I seemed to see a flash of clarity in her eyes. But the next second, she reverted to her delirious state.
First place. First place means eggs to eat.
She smeared the food all over her face, and I tenderly helped her clean it off. I didn't notice the pair of eyes secretly watching from the doorway. Bang! The rickety wooden door of the cowshed was kicked open. David was full of rage, yanking his mother's hair and slamming her head against the wall. Her head bled, staining a section of the wall red.
What is happening? What has gotten into him?
Liam trembled as he tried to pull David away, but David kicked him in the stomach, nearly knocking him out from the pain.
I knew this brat hadn't studied much, so how could he solve those problems? Turns out it was you wretched woman, teaching him. Tell me, have you been pretending to be crazy all these years?
Sarah seemed oblivious to the pain and didn't understand what David was saying. She just kept laughing foolishly.
Teach? What could a rural woman teach? Pretending to be crazy? How could that be?
Liam's mind was a mess, and the pain in his abdomen made it hard to think. He had only one thought: he needed to save his mother. If he didn't, David would hurt her badly.
Father! Father! Stop hitting her! It wasn't my mother who taught me. It was Lily.
What?
Sometimes, when I went to cut pigweed in the morning, I would meet her. She knew I wanted to study, so she lent me her textbooks. I learned everything on my own.
David paused after hearing Liam's words. He looked at Liam, then at Sarah. He thought it made sense, and Sarah's madness didn't seem fake. He kicked Sarah back into the corner, where she lay on a dirty, blood-stained quilt. She put her bloody fingers in her mouth and laughed again. David dragged Liam to Lily's house and grabbed her.
Is what he said true?
Lily, understanding Liam's reasoning, nodded firmly.
That's right. I saw Liam was eager to learn, so I lent him my books.
David reluctantly believed her and took Liam back home. It was late at night. Liam lay on the Kong, listening to David's snores, unable to sleep. He couldn't understand what had driven David mad today. Compared to his mother, David seemed more like the crazy one.
I replayed my memories over and over, feeling something was off, but unable to pinpoint what.
After helping me lie once, my relationship with Lily improved significantly.
I really like this earnest and hard-working girl. She always holds her head high in class, staring at the blackboard without moving.
I heard that her chance to attend school was also obtained through persistent pleading with her family. We went to school together and walked home together, often chatting along the way.
I want to go to college and become a teacher in the future.
The teaching quality at the village's middle school was really poor. I knew that if things continued like this, Lily's chances of getting into high school were slim, let alone college. So, I always tutored her after class.
This way, her chances of getting into college would be at least a bit higher.
Liam, you're amazing. You're like a star descended from the heavens.
I smiled sheepishly, not daring to tell her that I was actually a teacher before. But I never expected that Lily, who was so eager to go to college, would never get the chance. We met at the village entrance every day, but that day, the entrance was empty. Maybe she was delayed? I walked into the classroom with a belly full of doubts, and Lily's seat was also empty. Maybe she was sick? For several days in a row, Lily seemed to have disappeared. I finally couldn't sit still anymore. After school, I rushed to old Jack's house at the village entrance.
Where's Lily? Why isn't she coming to school?
She's getting married, not going to school anymore.
It sounded like there was sobbing coming from inside the house. I felt a buzzing in my head.
Married? She's so young.
Lily was the same age as me, 14, far from the legal age for marriage. Isn't this clearly a child marriage?
Are you out of your mind? 14. There are plenty of girls in the village who get married at 12 or 13. I've raised her to 14. That's already considerate.
But she's still in school, and she's doing so well. She could definitely get into high school.
Getting into high school is useless. No matter how far a girl goes in her studies, she still has to get married in the end. I've found her a good husband. That's what's really good for her. Don't bother trying to persuade me. Even the principal has come several times. I'm telling you, it's useless.
I felt a chill all over and wanted to rush into the yard to see Lily, but old Jack blocked me and pushed me to the ground. My palm scraped against the gravel, stinging with pain.
Get lost.
By now, a crowd of onlookers had gathered, including David. Seeing this, he stepped forward to pull me up, repeatedly apologizing to old Jack. The villagers were all pointing and whispering. I knew I would get another beating when I got home. I had become numb to all this and didn't care at all. What I truly feared was the fate of the children in the mountains, like Lily. Getting married, then spending their lives in the mountains, feeding pigs and chickens, doing farm work, and never getting the chance to go to college. Lily still got married. I was part of the wedding procession. She wore a new outfit today, bright red, with her hair neatly combed. She looked especially beautiful. She was crying, but her parents were smiling.
Our daughter is marrying into the wealthiest family in Williams Village. The bride price? A full $5,000. They say our daughter is smart, so her children will be smart too. They offered this willingly.
Villagers were congratulating, and Liam's parents were grinning from ear to ear. With the sound of gongs and drums, I followed Lily all the way to the village entrance. Once she left the village, Lily was no longer a member of Williams Village. She was now a daughter-in-law of Williams Village. She suddenly turned back. Through her tear-filled eyes, I saw her smile and say something to me before walking away without looking back. I squatted down, crying uncontrollably.
Ryan, keep chasing your dreams.
It was only at that moment that I realized how foolish and laughable I had been. Hard work can indeed change most people's destinies, but not theirs. Parents are authoritative figures. Whether it's studying, working, or farming, they have no control over their own lives. They are crushed by the mountains, locked by their parents. I wiped away my tears and slowly walked back. After that day, I continued going to school as usual, but Lily was no longer by my side. A few months after getting married, Lily returned to her parents' home, wearing a pair of gold earrings and carrying a smartphone. Williams Village is wealthier and more developed than Williams Village, and it seemed her in-laws treated her well. As soon as we met, she couldn't stop her tears.
School days were the best. Liam, I believe in you. You must get into college, carrying my hopes as well. If necessary, I will help you.
With swollen eyes, I nodded vigorously. Now, getting into college is not just for me, Raymond, to return, it's also for Liam and for Lily. I carry the fate of 3 people on my shoulders. I brought home eggs, one after another, and David was always particularly happy. He never mentioned dropping out of school. But I knew that day would come sooner or later. So, I was always planning to escape. Escape. Escape from this mountain. These past few days, I've been going to school and doing chores, appearing normal on the surface, but I've already started planning. I realized that escaping wouldn't be easy.
Williams Village is deep in the mountains, surrounded by dense forests filled with not only snakes but other wild animals as well. The terrain looks similar everywhere, making it easy to get lost. The nearest village to Williams Village is 5 miles away, which is where my school is located. Further south, about 10 miles, is Lily's in-laws' village, the Williams family village. But just escaping to the Williams family village wouldn't work. Lily could hide me for a day or two, but eventually, someone would find out and send me back to David. I needed to take a bus to escape to the county town. The bus comes once a day, and the bus stop is more than 30 miles from Williams Village. The more I calculated, the more desperate I felt. But I couldn't just sit and wait for my fate.
These past few days, while cooking, I would make extra pancakes and secretly stash them away when David wasn't looking. These were my emergency rations. With everything ready, I pretended to go to school every day but actually hid near the firewood pile, observing. I was just waiting for David to leave the house so I could make my escape.
However, despite there being plenty of work to do in the fields, David suddenly became idle. He hadn't left the house for days, just sitting in the yard smoking. I was growing increasingly anxious, wishing I could knock him out with a stick.
Finally, the opportunity came. Early one morning, David put on a brand new outfit and left the house. I guessed he was going to a banquet, as that's the only time he would dress up so neatly. This meant he wouldn't be back for at least the entire morning. Once he was far enough away, I rushed into the kitchen, grabbed my bundle, and ran.
Passing by the cowshed, I felt a pang of sadness. I couldn't take my mother with me, but once I was settled, I would definitely come back for her.
But just as I stepped out the door, I ran straight into David. Beside him was a man named Tom.
You think I don't know what you're up to? You think your father is a fool?
The bundle in my hand fell to the ground, covered in dust. It was over.
2.
David was about to hit me, his large hand swinging towards me but stopping just short.
Don't hit too hard, or he won't be able to work.
What exactly do they want? David locked the door behind him, while Tom stayed and looked me up and down. His gaze was like a cold snake, examining me as if I were merchandise. They pushed and shoved me, ignoring my struggles, and locked me in the barn. My mother was still huddled in the corner, and Tom seemed to know her.
She was clean and tidy when she arrived. How did you turn her into this mess?
You can talk. This woman can't have more kids after going mad post-childbirth. $2,000 for a fool.
Tom looked at me again.
Your kid seems smart. He won't come cheap. You can use the money to get a new wife.
They both laughed heartily, and my mother, not understanding, laughed along. For a moment, the room was filled with laughter. In the midst of the laughter, the horrifying truth finally revealed itself to me. My mother was trafficked here, and she likely had a decent education. The few memories I had of her seemed to confirm this. If she were an ordinary farm woman, how would she know fairy tales about princes and princesses? And she taught me to read when I was young. Thinking back, there were hardly any literate people in this remote village.
Did you teach him?
When I first ranked first in my class, David questioned her. I closed my eyes, filled with regret for my own slowness. I should have realized it sooner. I should have realized it sooner. David and Tom left, locking the barn door with several locks. I curled up next to my mother. I couldn't shake the feeling that she might not be truly insane. In the dead of night, the sounds of drinking outside finally quieted down. The snores were thunderous. David and Tom must have fallen asleep. My mother and I were still awake. I wanted to ask her a few questions but was afraid of being overheard through the walls, not knowing how to start. Suddenly, I had an idea.
Can you speak English?
My mother was stunned for a moment but then nodded.
She wasn't crazy.
That night, we communicated in English, discussing the current situation. My mother was indeed a college student who had been abducted. She tried to escape but was caught every time. Later, she gave birth to me. From that day on, she stopped resisting and pretended to comply, gaining the family's trust. When I was 5, she ran away again. This time, she got farther than ever before, but eventually, David led the entire village into the mountains to search and found her. To capture her, David's mother, my grandmother Martha, fell off a cliff and became paralyzed. David was so furious he nearly ended her life, beating her half to death. My mother didn't want to have more children, so she pretended to be mentally impaired from the beating. She crawled to the wall and removed a few bricks.
This was originally prepared for myself. Now my body can't take it, but you can run.
No, Mother, I want to take you with me.
This wasn't blind confidence. I had considered the possibility of being caught by David, so I had already prepared an escape route. Judging by the time, we should be able to get out soon. In the past 2 days, our meals had improved significantly, with meat at every meal. Tom said they wanted to fatten me up so the buyer would agree. People came to see me one after another, but my father asked for $50,000. He said,
My child is a genius, can read, and can work, so not a penny less.
They probably thought it was too expensive, so there was no follow-up. One day, new people arrived. When the barn door opened, I was stunned. Because I knew this person. Not only did I know him, but I was very familiar with him. It was Charlie. Charlie was followed by his parents, who were clearly very satisfied with me. Charlie kicked me while they were talking.
Weren't you so arrogant? Always stealing my spotlight? How did you end up like this?
I turned my face away, refusing to look at him. Charlie turned back and shouted to his parents.
Mom, buy him and let him work for us.
His family had some wealth, and since they needed someone to work, Charlie's parents agreed without hesitation. David and they agreed to exchange money and people the next day. After they left, my mother blamed me.
I told you to run, and now look, neither of us can leave. My life is over, but you can't end up like this.
Don't worry, Mother.
But in truth, I was also uncertain. Why hasn't it happened yet? Suddenly, there was a noise by the window. My heart skipped a beat.
It's happening!
Lily stood by the window, looking at me anxiously. She was my backup plan. When she last visited her parents, I hinted at my plan to escape. Taking advantage of school, Lily rushed from Williams Village to the school, asking how she could help me.
If I contact you within 5 days from Williams Village, help me escape. If you don't hear from me within 5 days, come back and find me.
Today was the 5th day. Lily stood by the window, on the verge of tears.
Call the police and bring more people.
Lily nodded tearfully and ran off. Sure enough, not long after she left, David came into the yard during the night. My mother and I pretended to be asleep. David walked around, saw nothing unusual, and hummed a tune as he left.
Enjoy your last night of freedom. Tomorrow, you might be heading to jail.
Early the next morning, Charlie's parents arrived with Charlie. They were all smiles, handing a large plastic bag to David and preparing to take me away. Suddenly, a villager rushed in.
The police are here.
Everyone's faces changed. David quickly hid the money and pretended to be hosting guests, then locked me in the barn. My heart pounded as I held my mother's hand tightly.
Mother, we're about to get out of here.
The people of Williams Village are very united. It's not that simple to get out.
Time passed slowly, and it was eerily quiet outside. What was going on? My eyes fell on a few loose bricks. I had to escape and seek help. Just as I was about to move the bricks, voices came from outside the window. It turned out to be the female principal. Her head was pressed against the window of the cowshed, with a few male teachers behind her.
We'll break the window and get you out.
The window of the cowshed had iron bars, and breaking it would take a long time. I gently shook my head and started moving the bricks one by one. I squeezed through the small hole. Immediately after, my mother also squeezed out. There was no wall behind the cowshed, just lush green forest. Our group plunged into the forest without looking back. When we reached the village entrance, the scene was chaotic. Lily was leading a group of police officers, confronting the villagers. There were quite a few police officers and several police cars, but the villagers, armed with hoes and shovels, stood their ground, leaving the officers helpless.
You silly girl, what nonsense are you talking about? I've lived all these years and never heard of such a thing. Come home with me.
Whether it's true or not, we'll know by checking David's house. If you're stopping us, it means you have something to hide.
Old Jack, furious, was about to hit her but was pulled away by a police officer. Amidst the chaos, we carefully bypassed the crowd and went directly to the police officers.
Officer, my mother was the one who had been taken, and my father was planning to sell me.
The police officer understood and took us into the police car, notifying the front to temporarily retreat. But then, another unexpected event occurred. Seeing the situation turn against them, the villagers collectively pulled Lily over. The remaining villagers swarmed forward, surrounding the police car. Fortunately, the car we were in was at the back, and they couldn't reach us immediately. The police officer driving made a quick decision and drove us away first. We needed to call for reinforcements. The mountain road was rugged, and the police car couldn't go too fast, almost getting caught several times. Luckily, we made it without further incident. As we distanced ourselves from William's village, my mother and I hugged each other, crying our hearts out. The woman was not convinced. She glared at me.
So, you still stand by your opinion?
Yes.
The woman sneered coldly. Suddenly, I felt my body go weak, and the world spun around me. Before losing consciousness, a cold mechanical voice echoed in my mind.
System detected the 928,116,973rd challenger. Hostname, Raymond. Identity, senior teacher, top-tier class advisor. Mission, inhabit the body of a mountain boy named Liam and help him get into college. Mission failure results in termination.
Returning to my original body, everything felt like a dream. Reflecting on my past ignorance, I found it laughable.
Undeniably, hard work can change the fate of most people. But there are always those whose fate is not in their own hands. Without someone to give them a hand, how can they climb out of such a deep abyss?
An idea formed in my mind. 3 days later, despite the principal's attempts to keep me, I submitted my resignation. As I boarded the train with my suitcase, I felt an immense sense of relief. The old principal still sat in that shabby office, her low ponytail streaked with gray. I knocked on the door, and she looked up at me.
Hello, Principal. I am Raymond, a volunteer teacher.